Good afternoon and welcome to the Rapid City Legal and Finance Committee meeting for Wednesday, September 13th, 2017. I'd like to start the meeting with a roll call and determination of quorum, please, Stacy. Armstrong here. Thank you. I was trying to shut my mic off. I didn't want to yell here on the mic. Now's the time to adopt the agenda. If there are any modifications, deletions, or additions, I'd like to hear from the seated committee members. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Drury to adopt today's agenda as presented, second by Armstrong. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been adopted. Now's the time for general public comment. This is the time for any member in the audience to address the seated committee members on any item that is currently not on the agenda. I have no speaker request forms. Am I missing anyone? Seeing no one, we're going to move on to consent items. Consent items on today's calendar are items 1 through 13. We're now going to open public comment on consent items. I currently have no speaker request forms for consent items 1 through 13. Am I missing anyone? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. I'll like to hear from any committee members if they'd like to address any consent item separately from the consent calendar. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent items. Chair recognizes Alderman Laurenti.
Thank you, Chair. I apologize. I was just in the item. Now I'm having a hard time finding it. The home, the surplus home that we're declaring. 13, please, sorry.
Are there any other items from committee members that would like to be addressed separately today? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 13, well, 1 through 12. I've got a motion by Drury to approve items 1 through 12, second by Lewis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13 is to authorize the mayor and finance officer to sign resolution 2017-084, a resolution to declare real property located at 103 East Anamosa Street as surplus and authorize disposal according to law. The chair will recognize Alderman Laurenti.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, I don't know if it can be answered here or not. Do we have somebody who can answer from staff?
Mr. Tech, I believe.
Mr. Tech, thank you, sir. This particular property was, I'm not familiar with the home. Is there any ability to auction the home off for any value?
Oh, absolutely. The reason the home was purchased was to accommodate the construction of the Anamosa and Maple Street project. We had attempted to obtain easements from the existing homeowner. It was a rental property. They weren't interested in giving any easements to us, but they were agreeable to selling us the property. So the city, with transportation funds, acquired the property. The project is nearing completion. The impacts to the property are almost complete. So it's time for us to turn around and sell the property. So it's a single-family residence, and we should either market it, auction it, or receive.
I just wanted
bids.
to make sure that was part of the declaring the surplus, part of that process. So thank you very much. I yield.
So I'll entertain a motion from any of the committee members.
Move to approve.
Got a motion by Laurenti to approve.
Second.
Second by Drury. Any further discussion? Just a comment, follow-up, Dale. This step for number 13, as Alderman Laurenti was asking, this must be done before the city can do anything with any type of property, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're now on to the non-consent items. Non-consent items on today's agenda are items 14 through 19. I'll open public comment for non-consent items, items 14 through 19. I currently have no speaker request forms. Am I missing anyone in the audience? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Item number 14 is Mr. Greg Riley. A request for a refund of abatement fee in the amount of $140 for property located at 4789 Somerset Drive. Is Mr. Riley in the audience today? Mr. Riley, this is a time, if you wouldn't mind approaching the podium, if you'd like to let the committee members know. Hello, Mr. Riley.
Hi. Hello, everybody. You want me to go ahead?
Yes, if you'd like to make your opening comments, and then committee members, since we are dealing with item number 14, your item currently, the committee members will chime in and ask further questions. But if you'd like to make a statement
Okay.
as far as why you're asking for,
Yeah. I'm here because of what I feel was a premature and unnecessary mowing of my yard, my landscape. The whole issue pretty much starts 10 years ago when I received approval from the city to do xeriscaping, or commonly referred to as natural landscaping, on my landscape. Went along fine until last year, and I received a code violation notice on my landscape. Dealt with code enforcement on that, and ultimately received a informal variance on that violation. Then this year, the situation repeated, almost identical to last year. And because with my conversation with code enforcement the year before, we came to the agreement that the code was lacking as far as natural landscape direction. So kind of unspokenly agreed that we needed to address the code problem. Well, with the code violation this year, under the same circumstances, I remembered what we talked about last year and decided that I needed to speak with code enforcement, the code enforcement people again. And I requested, rather than an informal variance, a formal variance on the violation. And the basis for that request was that I volunteered my property and myself to dive a little deeper into this code difficulty. Volunteered my property as a test site for natural landscaping. Also myself as somebody to kind of lead the charge on putting together some code modification with the involvement of my alderman. Ultimately to get with my alderman and the three of us put together some proposed code modifications. And it was taken under advisement, and before I got a response to my request for a formal variance, unfortunately, my property was impacted with the trespasser poisoning. And so I reported that right away to the police department, reported it right away to code enforcement, the director and the inspector. And
Mr. Riley,
that was before I received a response.
let's speed this up a little bit. This is asking for a refund of the $140. So you've given us a lot of history, and I appreciate you working with the city on coming up and reviewing the ordinance and stuff, but does not have an impact on this, because you're asking for a very specific refund. So,
Correct.
Right. So you're just basically asking
Because-
for a refund because you felt your yard should have been natural scape.
No, I'm asking for a refund because I felt that the mowing was premature and unnecessary.
All right. Thank you.
that
I'll
all?
entertain.
Is that all you'll let me say?
Well, I'll hold for questions at this
Okay.
point. Are there any questions that any committee member would like to ask? Seeing none, I've got a motion to deny by Steve Laurenti. Do I have a second? Not seeing one. Did you say second for discussion? Okay, I've got a second by Lewis for discussion. Seeing no lights, I would like to pose a question. Joel, would your office be handling this at this time, or code enforcement? Thank you.
Oh, no.
Kinsley Grote from the City Attorney's Office. Yes, I've been involved in the history of this one with Mr. Riley, and I obtained some history of past things that were said, and some was just based upon Mr. Riley's understanding of the situation, and then I asked other departments what their understanding of the situation was, so I can recount any history if you'd like that. And
Actually, I'm just dealing with the facts. I appreciate our staff working with citizens when they come forward to change ordinances and stuff, but right now we have to deal with the ordinances as presented before us. At least that's my opinion. So my question is really, I think, really easy. My understanding is that the administration fee and a late fee has already been waived on this charge, correct?
Correct.
So the $140 is what the city had incurred with the actual trimming and mowing on this property.
Correct.
Were all due notices sent out in a timely fashion?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. That's all I have. Anybody else with any other questions? Seeing none, I do have a motion on the floor to deny. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0 to deny your request for a refund, Mr. Riley. Mr. Riley, this is a recommending body. This item will actually go to the city council for a full discussion Monday night. So if you have time and want to readdress the full council Monday night, I would encourage you to come.
Monday night at 6:30?
6:30.
Okay. Here?
Yes,
Okay.
right back in this chamber.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Item number 15 is the Human Relations Commission semi-annual update. We have requested, I have requested that this briefing be given Monday night. I would entertain a motion to send to council without recommendation.
Second.
I've got a motion by Lewis to send item 15 to council without recommendation, second by Armstrong. Any further discussion? We don't have a report yet,
We
so.
don't, but
The discussion up here, Stacy, was if it should be a motion change to acknowledge the report, and we haven't really had a report. So we're sending it to council without recommendation. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That way it's also off the consent items, so we can have them. Item number 16 is Steve Laurenti and a resolution of support for an initiated measure to put the CPI property tax increase on the ballot for the Rapid City voters, and the chair will recognize Alderman Laurenti.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll just briefly say something here and reserve the rest of my comments for the full council meeting, but I'm hoping that my colleagues will at least see through to support an initiative by our citizens to bring something forward on this property tax increase, whether you voted for it or against it. We should all support citizens wanting to bring something, wanting to redress their government, wanting to petition their government to bring something to the ballot so that they can have a voice in it, because that's truly what government is all about. And if we don't allow that, I think we're going to have some serious problems. So I just wanted to state that, and my recommendation on it would be to approve the resolution. I can't do that because I've already spoke, but I will second it.
Thank you. Chair would like to recognize Alderman Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And just the spirit of, I know there's going to be a lot of discussion on this Monday night. I'd like to just move it to council without recommendation. That's okay with Mr. Laurenti?
I've got a motion to send to council without recommendation. Do I have a second? I've got a second by Armstrong.
Maintain the floor just for a second.
You
And
still have the floor.
my entire intent there is just because I know we're going to be a lot of discussion about it on Monday night. I don't see a point of debating the merits of that at this point, if that's okay with you, Mr. Laurenti. Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to send to council without recommendation. It'll keep it off the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 17 is a second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6189 regarding the supplemental appropriation number 3 of 2017.
Move to approve.
Got a motion by Laurenti to approve. Second by Lewis. Any discussion? I'm just going to ask a clarifying question. Pauline, could you please confirm there were no changes between first and second reading?
There were no changes.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 18 is the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6200, an ordinance amending chapter 8.28 of the Rapid City Municipal Code relating to grass, weeds, and noxious matter.
Move to approve.
Got a motion by Laurenti to approve. Second by Drury. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 19 is the second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6195, an ordinance to change the allocation of the revenue raised by the retail occupational sales and service tax by amending section 3.16.060 and section 3.16.090 of the Rapid City Municipal Code.
Move to approve.
Got a motion by Laurenti to approve, second by Armstrong. Chair recognizes Alderman Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll obviously be voting no. I haven't changed my mind on this one. I just think that's imperative that we keep the vision fund protected, and that's something that people have said over and over again. So hopefully we can change a few minds between now and Monday night, but I'm sure I'm fighting a losing battle at this point, but that's my 2 cents. And I'm actually standing behind my 2 cents.
Thank you, Alderman Lewis. Chair would like to recognize City Attorney.
Just based on that comment, I feel like I should point out that you've approved a budget based on this. So if you don't approve this ordinance, you've basically blown a hole in your budget, and you're going to have to revisit the budget and make significant cuts or find additional revenue.
I was just going to say that personally, that may open up the review of the budget. I'm kidding. Thank you for the comment, Joel. It is something that can be considered. And I know we're up against a deadline to pass the budget by October 1st. Chair recognizes Alderman Lewis.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your comments, Mr. Attorney, but I've been against it since the beginning. I approve the budget. I understand that, but I'm still voicing an opinion because I hear from a lot of people out in the community they don't want us cutting the vision fund. So I'm expressing their opinion, my own personal opinion. Obviously, it's probably not going to go through anyway, but I want that on record. I'm against it. Thank you.
And just a clarification, this is a really long title on this item, item number 19. However, this is the reallocation, as the city attorney reminded us it was discussed during budget, that will actually put a full penny of the 2 cents sales tax into the general fund and redistribute the vision fund and the CIP amounts for our capital improvement. I do have a motion on the floor to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries 4-1. Approval. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion by Laurenti to adjourn, second by Drury. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.